A Carnegie Institution for Science audio press release for May 9, 2011. Consumption, carbon emissions, and international trade. Accurately calculating the amount of carbon dioxide emitted in the process of producing and bringing products to our doorsteps is nearly impossible, but still a worthwhile effort. So claim Ken Caldeira and Stephen Davis of Carnegie's Department of Global Ecology in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. They commend the work of industrial ecologist Glen Peters and colleagues, which was published previously in the same journal. The Carnegie scientists used those data for additional analysis of the disparity between emissions and consumption in different parts of the world. Carbon is released at many stages of the production process, including the energy used in creating each component of a product, CO2 released in making the manufacturing equipment, and carbon released by vehicles transporting factory workers to and from their jobs. Nothing exists in isolation. Understanding how emissions can be related to particular actions requires a reasonable accounting system that allocates total CO2 emissions to specific actions. The accounting system must also conform to intuitions about how responsibility should be shared among participants in complex systems. The earlier work by Peters and his team looked at the impact of goods and services that were consumed in developed countries but produced in developing ones. They found decreased emissions in the developed countries since 1990 and increased emissions in the developing countries, but when emissions from the production of goods were transferred to the place where the goods were consumed, then the trend in developed countries was reversed. The Carnegie scientists took this data and broke it down in terms of per capita and per dollar gross domestic product. They found that on a per capita basis, the average person in developed countries is responsible for more CO2 emissions than their counterpart in the developing world. And the amount of CO2 emitted per dollar of GDP is improving at similar rates between the two categories. The focus on territorial emissions has perhaps led to an underemphasis of the role of consumption of goods and services in driving these emissions. It is important to look at all drivers of emissions, as everyone along the supply chain has a vested interest in the benefits that accrue from our fossil-fueled global economy. The Carnegie Institution has had over 100 years of extraordinary discoveries. To continue this tradition, Carnegie scientists need your support. For more information about this and other cool science, visit our website at carnegiescience.edu. This is John Strom.